Alright, this next example starts out with some fractions in it, and it looks a little bit difficult for that reason. However, fractions are not that bad to deal with if you remember how to get rid of fractions in an equation, which we've talked about now several times. To get rid of those fractions, you can simply multiply both sides of the equation by the LCD. The LCD in this case is 6, and so I can multiply both sides of this equation by 6. Multiply by 6, multiply by 6, multiply by 6. Both sides results in all terms being multiplied. 6 times a half is 3. 6 times a third is 2. And 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, so that's the first equation. The second equation is also 3x plus 2y equals 24, which is interesting. What we have is a system where both equations are the same. And if you remember back to the previous section, we talked about this. When you have two lines that are the same, right? You have one line, you have one line there, and then I'll do the purple line, kind of goes right over top, right? They're the same thing. And so you have two copies of the same line. That gives how many intersections? Well, an infinite number of them. So you have infinitely many intersections, and we can't just list off all the points of intersection. There's just too many, even though the solution is supposed to be all the points of intersection. And so what we're going to do is we're still going to have an ordered pair as the solution. So we need to find some way to represent x comma y as our solution. To do that, we're going to find a y value or an expression for y from these equations to put in there. And so I'm going to take and solve this equation for y. If I do that, I'm going to subtract the 3x from both sides. I get 2y equals, I'm going to call this, I'm going to switch the terms around. We'll write it negative 3x plus 24, and then divide out the 2. Divide both sides by the 2. We get y equals negative 3/2 x plus 12. Okay, and so now we have a slope-intercept form, right? Y equals mx plus b. This gives us a slope of negative 3/2. So really I drew this wrong. It should be decreasing line because it's a negative slope, and a y-intercept of 12. And so when we write out our final answer, we're going to use the x value, and then we're going to, in place of the y, we're going to write what y is equal to, which is all this stuff here, right? That expression. So it's kind of like what we do in the substitution method. We're just substituting into the ordered pair. And it's going to read negative 3/2 x plus 12. Right? This is the form, I believe, that Hawks is going to want you to enter your answers in. So that's why I'm showing you this, so that you can do that. You're going to have an x comma, and then the y value is replaced with the expression for y. And then you can always say there's an infinite number of solutions here. Infinitely many solutions. And if you're asked to categorize this system, this would be a, let's see, this is a consistent system. Because it has solutions with dependent equations. Because the equations are the same.